skill indicators off and on as fast as quickly as possible. They got to be warmed up. Adrenaline's pumping.
The adrenaline is pumping, guys. We've got our 20th game of the week underway. We're going to find out if Velocity can end their cold streak and turn it back on here against Cloud9 in the very last game. Blue side, Velocity eSports. Red side, Cloud9. Game is underway. Let's get it rocking.
And right off the bat, the first crazy thing we see is a blue elixir start by Vile Rose's Rumble. He wants to fight High, and High wants to fight him because he's also started with his red elixir. If we don't see anything crazy level 1, and barring any disaster, we actually see a 1v1 mid lane, we're going to see some elixir battles.
That's going to be a fun battle to watch. A heck of a lot of just damage showing up out of nowhere. I want to see what these guys end up doing with it. Though right now, Cloud9 are doing something a little bit sneaky. They've got Jace kind of leading the charge. They're looking to show this tri-brush, but Maple Street, I believe, will spot them. No, he did not. He's been hooked. Arcane Shift's not going to work for him. Look at the burst damage coming across. Flashes the wall, but High shows up and says, you're going to give me 400 gold. Thank you very much. First blood, 50 seconds into Cloud9.
The hook landed right as he was arcane shifting away, so he was unable to escape. And what a great way for Cloud9 to start off this game, burning the flash and the barrier from Maple Street, as well as getting the first blood. Could not ask for more.
Absolutely beautiful opening. They saw the ward go down in the lizard brush as they moved through, put some own wards of their own down, and they've got good coverage now of the red buff side of Velocity's jungle.
And it's so difficult to be 100% safe against a Thresh at level 1 just because of the crazy range on his death sentence. Maple Street was trying to do the tri-brush scout, but he went a little bit too far and just was not able to come back in time. I think if he was expecting to see them coming down there, then it would have been a little better for him. But
unfortunately, he got caught a little bit off guard. That invade did work successfully. Evaniscus and Maple Street, though, still, they're lurking around in weird places. They're looking for a bit of a late invade. Thing is, they have Vile Rose chilling bottom, but they have NK Inc here as well. That's actually, sorry, I caught this wrong. Chris is actually top lane Jarvan. It is still jungle Elise here. They're going to make moves onto the blue buff.
Yeah, and this could very well be like a 3 or 4v4 in here. They're going to try to smite this away, but Lemonation is on the cutoff path. This could be a 4v4 developing.
This is going to be close. Vile Rose shows up. There's the pull. Lemonation flashing away. NK Inc with a fresh blue buff is still going to walk back. And the thing is, Cloud9 did not get any buffs in their level 1 so far.
Now NK Inc was able to smite that away. At least Sneaky got a lot of damage onto Vile Rose as Vile Rose was coming back in. But the aggro play there by Velocity, because they 4-man evaded that blue buff through a river ward and almost dared Cloud9 to go in and stop them. When they were able to get that, shows that it was a dangerous play that worked out.
It did work out. And speaking of dangerous plays that worked out, the bottom lane, they actually chunked High down off of a beautiful bubble that Evaniscus landed, forcing him to chug through some potions. Of course, he spent the first blood gold in the longsword, but is in a rough spot this early lane.
Yeah, and specifically with a 350 gold red elixir, it's not nearly as safe of a start as it was before for High. But Meteos, of course, is what we're seeing right now. Because NK Inc stole the blue and then didn't make a run for his own blue, Meteos is able to come around the side and clear this one for himself. So all that jungling shenanigans that really happened, I feel like could have been capitalized on better by NK Inc. Meteos did the standard thing, rushed for the other blue buff, and was able to take it.
And they actually just pinged him out right there. Velocity realizes their mistake and says, yeah, he got us. Well played right there. See if NK Inc can do anything around this one and catch himself back up. We now watch this bottom lane, though. These 2v1 lanes, we've seen them a heck of a lot, and it's really been mostly a game of turret pressure.
Especially when we have the junglers looping around to try the 3-man dives. High has been able to hit level 3, which means he's a little bit more resilient to the dives early on, and I think he's going to be okay. The thing I want to keep track of is how quickly this mid lane can shove on a Rumble. I know the most recent Rumble nerfs have made it much more difficult for him to last hit a turret, because it used to be you could use your E to get the last hit on ranged minions, but when the damage went down, it's like 5 or 10 damage short, and you no longer get it unless you tag it with Flame Spitter first, so it's much harder to last hit a turret in Rumble now.
So let's see if Vile Rose can keep up. Of course, right now he's just using NK Inc to make that a little bit easier. Cocoon comes off on Sneaky, actually, but the pull is onto the Spider. A lot of us coming across, forced to just jump back and down onto some minions, but Vile Rose still looking for some damage, actually. This lane is just full of pressure, and Ball's taking damage from Chris. Look at him down below 200 health. Won't quite be a kill, but Chris looking good there.
And Ball's getting jumped on pretty heavily by Chris here. Jarvan is a monster in the lane. And we talked about the Ignite on Rise saying, I'm going to go 1v1 top lane. That's exactly what Cloud9 is doing. But it's not working out too great for him because he's gotten caught on the wrong side of a couple of these trades. So
running out of potions, of course, did open up with the Sapphire Crystal and trying to make that work for him. But how to sustain? We're watching the bottom lane again, though. Again, the turret pressure, a thing we are concerned with. But the wave clear from Meteos is stopping that up quite a bit. The turret down to 1/3 health, but the rest of Velocity are not making a lot more real progress here on that.
No, not really. I mean, the Nasus is what really stops a lot of those wave pushes, whereas NK Inc. is just trying to hold off for Vile Rose. Obviously, if the mid turret goes down beforehand, this is a win for Cloud9, and I think they're going to opt in to this trade whenever possible. That's why they picked the jungle Nasus, and that's how they're executing the strategy.
Vile Rose, of course, not in a great spot. 10 compared to High's 14 minion kills, so even as far as 1v2 farm is concerned, Cloud9 are finding a lot of advantages with this lane swap, so you called it right. They are opting into it and excelling. Cloud9, 600 gold in the lead. Of course, most of that does end up being first blood. And we're going to now watch this, I guess, this top lane fight.
And because Balls has been ran out of mana by the incredible aggression of Chris, since the jungler, Meteos, in the bottom lane has been completely showed, there's no reason that Chris can't aggress as much as possible. There's no threats whatsoever of any kind of gank, and Balls just has to back away, otherwise NK would have killed him.
They're going to proxy that wave, and they make a lot of experience get missed to this turret here. Look at that. The minion's going to go down. Balls is nowhere to be seen. He's backed for a Tear and a Ruby Crystal, as well as a Scout Ward, or sorry, a Sight Ward, so he'll be able to see something. But you're right, this lane has not gone easily. He is missing a little bit from this.
It's not gone ideally, but I think as far as top lane rises go, the idea is not necessarily to crush, it's just to farm. His farm's been a little bit behind, but he's still surviving. Not the most ideal, not the most disastrous.
All right, so holding on right here. Cloud9 still holding Meteos, just trying to keep High's turret alive. It's taken some damage, but hasn't moved a lot in the recent past. Elimination pulls in Meteos. They got the slow into Evaniscus. Looking for this gank here. High looks for the slow, forcing the flash, and there goes Meteos flashing forward as well. More damage coming through. She's burning alive from the red buff. The flash pull does not land from Elimination. Evaniscus gets out.
That was the funniest looking gank, because the direction of the lantern just moved Nasus like sideways. I don't think it actually moved him closer to the target. If the flash hook would have landed from Elimination, it would have secured the kill, but that is a lot burned by Cloud9 for a non-successful gank, whereas Balls is getting jumped on as Elise comes in. Does have his flash, though.
Does have the summoners indeed. Had burned the ult, though, as part of the escape, so that'll be down for what that one's worth. Velocity, though, just going to keep the farm going. Chris is constantly shoving. But speaking of shoving, Cloud9 finally turned this bottom lane around, getting some damage onto this turret.
Yeah, one thing the gank did give them was pressure in the lane, and it allows High a window to shop without immediately losing his turret. So I think that was the main objective of that game.
Vile Rose in a 1v1 puts in a fair bit of damage on a Sneaky. He is level 6 first, so it's a nice power spike for him, but he doesn't find too much out of it. Elimination shows up and says, hey, get off my Jace, thank you very much. He's going to be safe out of this one. Vile Rose at 33 minions. He still has not gone back to base to... take that back, he has gone back to base to shop. He's at 700 gold right now, but doesn't have a heck of a lot to show for it.
Yeah, keep in mind, Vile Rose started with that Elixir of Brilliance, the blue elixir. Tried to burn it, didn't quite get a kill, but he's just trying to farm up in what was for a very long portion of this game, a 1v2 lane. And I think he's done an average job of stopping it. Him versus Zed is pretty even, so it's going all right for him.
NK Inc., though, has spent a lot of time trying to help out Chris. And in terms of sort of jungle pressure where it's been Meteos camping for High a heck of a lot in the bottom lane, now showing up top for a bit of clear. But NK Inc. has repeatedly tried to help Chris get rid of balls.
And Chris is one of the people who, when does well, Velocity wins. So that could be a reason that NK Inc. is spending so much time up there. The other one could be Vile Rose says he's okay mid lane. I know Vile Rose does a lot of the shot calling for Velocity.
So Vile Rose holding on for what he can. Chris looking to push balls away. And again, this 2v1 it's interesting just how many weird lane sort of constructions we end up getting when the junglers spend a heck of a lot of time on one of the sides. Though 8 minutes in or so, the buffs are starting to respawn around the map, and Cloud9 are making some stabs for it.
And at this point, Sneaky has to be a little bit careful. Cloud9 is probably thinking about going for a dragon, since Balls is saying, man, they're just camping me up here. Get on it. But because Velocity went all the way behind the turret, then ran through the jungle, it really just was a good way of denying farm for Velocity.
And it's done so pretty well. The red buff being stolen out, and now it's just, you know, Velocity, none of their really early moves have paid off so far. The early kill, of course, happened, but Cloud9 hasn't even found a ton for them either. We've seen just a laning phase where moves have been attempted but not really completed upon, and it's interesting that they're trying so hard and there's just not quite working for him.
Well, the laning phase could not be more even after
Yeah.
the First Blood. The First Blood gives a team 600 gold, and that's what the gold difference is. The lanes are balancing each other out as far as farm goes, and the turret damage is remarkably similar as well. So Velocity is really playing these guys heads up despite starting at a slight disadvantage.
And actually a nice bubble there onto High, and Elimination dealing a little bit of damage, but the shields helping to keep him walk away. There we go, the pink ward battle has begun. Oh, Ball's getting jumped on by Chris, but
no way.
The Ignite just might be enough to kill him off. He's very, very low, tries to hit some minions, and he's actually going to fall over. Balls wins that duel. You said the Ignite Rise, the trade is there, he gets it.
I think that's exactly what Balls will need to take control of that lane. He's been struggling this entire time, getting ganked over and over again, but then as soon as Chris went for the kill, Balls punished. That should give him enough gold for a Catalyst, which might just give him the sustain he needs to deal with Chris's harassing that lane.
But with vision control now on the bottom side, I want to see what these guys end up doing for it. The blue ward is there. Velocity has vision control of bottom. Meteos runs to the top lane. Dragon is there. I don't see Velocity capitalizing right now on that knowledge.
No, they're not going to be able to, just because Evaniscus and Maple Street are just trying to do double golems and basically just keep up and farm. What we have to track in this game, aside from the turret pushing, is the Tiamat that Chris just finished. I want to see what he does with that guy, because we have not seen that out of much in the LCS.
So I remember back in, I think it was the spring split qualifiers.
It was on a Shen.
Yeah, Ravenous Hydra Shen. So this guy builds his item and does good things with it. Now, mind you, he carried the heck out of that game. So he gave up an early, it made game kill in lane. I think it'd be fun to watch. Let's see what he does. He's certainly wave clearing well.
Well, he's hitting multiple creeps at once. Why could you not want it in TMI? Look at all that money he's just made. I want to see it work.
Okay.
We're going to track it. We're not going to analyze it yet.
Balls get the team out for an ultimate, basically, clearing those minions out pretty successfully. Chris realizes, yep, my red buff is gone. Thing is, I don't think he even has it timed properly. He was like waiting around, and that was killed like 9 minutes in, so he's got some time to go. Valrose has been moved, though. I guess Chris realized, my guess is that he's like, I'm not beating Balls 1v1 anymore. Valrose, you want to try?
Yeah, and Valrose isn't going to be able to beat Rise 1v1 either. Anytime Rumble tries to run at him, Balls are just going to throw a Rune Prison and a whole heap load of damage on top of him. But, at least Valrose doesn't have to deal with the 1v2 anymore. And this could give Chris a bit more roaming time. Maybe he just wants to roam around with the Tiamat, gank a bunch, and maybe get Balls confident. He is spotted by that ward. I don't think he's going to get much here.
He looks for it. Nope, indeed. Balls just walks right back to his turret, says, I am a little bit unsafe. You guys can go for this. But Chris still trying to put the pressure on the turret. He dives into minion waves, clears them fast with the Tiamat. It's actually left NK Inc. to absorb this top lane farm. However, for like the 4th time, they finally 2v1 top, and Velocity gets a turret for it. Actually, the first turret of the game.
And Cloud9 takes the Dragon right back. I mean, it's a trade here. Meteos popped his ultimate to kill it extra special fast. First kind of big action there, team-wise movement, but it turns out to just be a trade.
They've still got a little bit of pressure here. He actually pushes the flag across the wall to spot Rise coming over to defend it.
I was thinking Velocity might decide to turn on Balls, but they're a little worried of the counter dive. They would have a lot of burst with that Tiamat Jarvan being able to jump on, pop the Tiamat inside the Cataclysm and just do a bunch of damage. But Balls is a little scary. Maybe some bad memories of the last time Chris dove him and gave up first blood or second blood.
So actually, we also did see some really good adaptation as well by Sneaky. Kept the pressure on in the mid lane. It was the 2v1 from before. After the Dragon pressure, they still found a way to equalize a turret as well. So a turret and a Dragon for a turret. That's a really good move for Cloud9.
And that's what they excel in, is just winning these map-wide trades. Even though we've complimented Cloud9's team fighting so well this Super Week, what's been granting them the advantages and the overall victories in a lot of these games is just the way they move around the map. Meteos, when we were interviewing him, was talking about how he times pretty much everything from enemy buffs as well. So that often means that when he knows an enemy blue or red buff goes, they're more likely to know where laners are going to take them, which gives them even more opportunity to move into the right lanes to take pressure.
And that's just so beautiful when teams have that level of coordination and make those kinds of grand moves and keep things going. Reminds me of a year and a half ago Moscow 5 when they exploded.
Look out Balls though.
Ooh, yeah, he's a little bit surrounded right here. NK Inc. finds him for the cocoon. A lot of burst coming on through here. He jumps over the wall, but he's on enemy territory. Oh, the guess is wrong on the equalizer. Balls is still running back down towards mid. I think there's no one's in front of him.
I think he may make an escape because high damage is going to threaten NK Inc. off of him. What a run by Balls, and then the Ignite.
Ooh, nearly picks him down, and Vilerose does not quite get the counter engage. However, Meteos in the bottom lane with crew have pushed down the bottom lane turret. Cloud9 find another objective. Vile, though, he's still chasing. He's still trying to find high, still trying to find balls. Ooh, doesn't quite land the slow.
That is such heady play by Cloud9. Very lucky, too, the fact that NK Inc. wasn't quite able to repel track all the way over to balls. Everyone thought he'd flashed to the side over instead of down over, and it really just faked out both NK Inc. and Viros when they're trying to chase down balls.
Great play then. So the objectives and the advantages still seemingly going in the Cloud9 favor. Chris finally gets his own red buff this time around. He's going to like that one a little bit. We're going to see these guys go back into the lanes. High without an ultimate, though, puts a lot of pressure on a Val Rose, who overheats, but does not really want to pick a fight right now.
And the red elixir unconsumed right now in High's inventory. Blade of the Rune King, of course, back off of cooldown. I wonder what Cloud9 is going to be doing next. I'd expect them to make some kind of play for a top turret, just because that's the only outer turret they haven't controlled yet.
Nearly got the pull and the lantern in on Val Rose, but the flash away keeps him safe just outside of the box. That was a nice move, though.
Yeah, and there is a lot of velocity kind of being on the run here. There's a giant wave kind of pushed up that Maple Street doesn't want any part of, and that's just going to allow Sneaky to get a little bit more farm. He's not ahead of Maple Street. As we said, he wouldn't really be. When he plays that Jace, he farms up enough, but doesn't necessarily win lane. It's all about the mid-game spike for him.
Now, speaking of spikes, though, Maple Street has grabbed himself his first big completed item, went tier into Blade of the Ruin King, just completed that. That is a very different take from what we've seen before on this Ezreal.
Yeah, that's real weird. I'm not sure exactly what he has planned with that. Maybe a little bit of assassination attempts jumping on top of people, but not the Lizard Elder, not the Bloodthirster, just a mini Bloodthirster. Only 25 attack damage on that Blade of the Ruin King.
Let's see what he can do with that one. A little bit of moves forward here. NK Inc. Put the spider into the brush, says we're going to clear out the little mini golem right there, but those doesn't do much. Chris, he's going to spot balls here. Ooh, doesn't quite go in. He knows that balls is right around, though.
Yeah, and Balls is a little bit fearless right now. No matter what he's done, he's been able to escape these things, and if Chris jumped on, High might be able to come back and punish. High's also really trying to get to level 11, just did by picking up that red buff, so the ultimate death mark from High is even more dangerous here.
Chris still lurking around in the shadows, too, in the top lane, really trying to sniff out blood. Vile Rose showing up as well, making his way out. I don't believe he got spotted. And actually, Balls is running backwards on the mini-map. And there's a jump in. Chris doing a whole bunch of pain, a lot of bursts. The Equalizer coming by as well. Chris chunked incredibly low, but because of Vile Rose's roam, they get that one, and they start running away.
But meanwhile, in the bottom lane, because they realized both solo lanes were gone, Cloud9 just went all in and picked up Maple Street. I think that was Elimination Hook.
Absolutely great play here, and NK Inc. has to now hold his mid turret alone. The rest of Cloud9 is regrouping. Elimination's actually flanking around from behind.
Yeah, you can see they're just living in that bottom jungle, and that's why Velocity is trying to rush up the top lane. They're going to get this second turret, but at what cost?
Well, they're going to trade secondary turrets right now. The poke comes out on Evan. He's actually been hit by the Wither as well. Lemon's going to look for the hook. He's walking closer. No, he plays first. Evan must flash that one away, but he did not need to flash that. The second turret did go down. He didn't need to stay so long that he had to burn flash.
Yeah, it was still turret trade, so the total game is at 3 turrets to 2 now. The kills are still actually fairly low in this. And we actually have a replay of the kill that happened bot lane that we missed while the double kill was happening up top, or the one kill was happening up top.
A lot of early bursts on the Maple. The play backwards and just so much damage coming across there. Evans' ult could not stop them. Just a really, really good burst combo.
They just ran him down. It wasn't even about the hook. They just managed to close the distance, and I think a lot of that had to do with Cloud9's ward coverage within the red area of Velocity's jungle, that Maple Street just isn't safe.
He's not safe at all. I mean, the ability of this team to dive on in, we talked about that with the TSM game, where these guys will just group and then go, and their ability to just start the fight, pick off the straggler, make things happen, and close games out have really set them apart.
Yeah, I heard from some of the referees, the most common thing when they're listening to Cloud9's chatter is, can we dive, can we dive, can we dive? And now they're going to want to dive into this dragon because they get the smite steal!
Oh, the smite steal from Meteos is beautiful. He's got the lantern right there, doesn't even really want to take it. Equalizer has come across putting some health bars lower, but of course, what does Cloud9 even need to fight for? It's actually going to be a jump in on Sneaky. He's going to acceleration himself.
This isn't good for Velocity.
He is not really at all. They're getting strung out a little bit here. The back line is ready for Cloud9 to jump in. The Ezreal whiffs actually comes across and doesn't hit a heck of a lot. Cloud9 backing out. It's the blue steal. That is going to be grabbed up by Velocity, but that's kind of all they got.
Yeah, I'm surprised they actually got out of that one alive. Cloud9 had taken enough harass that they decided not to corner Cloud9 into their jungle because Cloud9 was essentially trapped there. This is the real game Cloud9's playing. They didn't care about the people in their jungle. They realized that because of where Velocity was, Cloud9 could take a secondary inner turret.
And they do grab that one. Maple will trade the turret away, so once again we're seeing trades on this map, but it's a more important turret for sure that Cloud9 just grabbed.
Middle turrets trump all. Even though they're the same in gold, it just opens up the largest amount of map.
And now actually they're looking for more map to open up the backdoor potential. Okay, they're just going to push the minions forward, but they do run forward on this and say, all right, let's get some minions down here. No one from Velocity is even remotely close to this one. They can find another turret kill for themselves.
Yeah, but this is another trade, and this one I don't necessarily agree with, because Velocity is able to push up the mid lane and get their mid lane as well. Are we going to see a little bit of a base race here as Maple Street gets jumped on?
Takes a bunch of damage from High, pops his own Blade of the Ruin King though to heal himself back up. Does disengage successfully. Cloud9 still wanted to put moves here on this left-hand side. The middle turret's going down, and the rest of Velocity are still pushing mid.
We are going to see a little bit of a base race. Balls went all the way back to base. He does not have home guards on Ryzen. This is all 5 Velocity members pushing up mid. High does not have his ultimate either. This is very dangerous for Cloud9. Velocity's going to go for this.
Both teams are now on the inhibitor turrets of the other side. A lot of stuns coming across, though. This is bad for High. It's bad for Balls as well, forcing Balls to flash away. High forced to run, has popped his red elixir, and now the inhibitor turret is taking damage. There are minion waves here for both sides. These turrets are losing health very, very closely, but Cloud9 right now are ahead a little bit.
Cloud9 got the inhibitor first. Balls takes down support, and High's back with home guards.
They do a bunch of damage. The stun comes across, and it's going to be one picked up by NK Inc. Taking a bunch of pain on the backside. Inhibitors trying to go down. Again, Cloud9 are still ahead on this one 4v4.
Cloud9 is going all the way for the Nexus turrets. They still have 2 people they sent back, Thresh as well to help High, and they have the edge in this one.
The turret's going down. Velocity is forced to run away, and it's up to High to stop the recalls here. Pulls the Lantern in as well, and Sneaky keeps putting on damage. No, they're going to back off and get one turret, and that's it.
All the creeps spawn right inside the base, including a fresh super minion, so Cloud9 could not get their creeps to the second Nexus turrets, but an inhibitor trade is super crazy. I gotta say, Cloud9 getting the Nexus turret is better for them in the long run, but to get that opportunity, I have to applaud Velocity because they can't win a team fight against Cloud9, so forcing them into dangerous decisions like that is a great move.
So here we go, guys. This has just become a much crazier game, and I gotta say, Super Week in general, week 1 of the North American LCS, I have seen more crazy games in 1 week than I've seen crazy games in like 3 months.
It's been absolutely unreal. North America is on another level this split. A lot of back and forth games too. That's the craziest thing, and just unreal decision making comes out from them. Surprisingly, Chris didn't upgrade that Tiamat to a Ravenous Hydra, and he's pretty much just going tank Jarvan afterwards.
He's got a longsword. There's hope.
There's hope.
That could turn into a Vamp Scepter. You never know. High's moving in, though. He's looking for somewhere to push. The stun's going to miss. The Equalizer comes across. It hits a lot of people, but Viros has been hooked in. The team fight is starting. Lemonation, and High puts a ton of damage there onto the Elise, who has to jump right back on down. Viros falls over. The wave comes across, and now Chris is initiated. He's in the middle of everyone, but the damage just keeps coming. The kills just keep coming. Cloud9, 3 kills so far. A beautiful bubble comes across, but it's a 3-for-1 fight. Balls chasing down. A nice shot blast across. Maple's almost in range. Can they get the damage they need? There's the hook. Maple's going to fall over. Cloud9 goes for the base.
And now the question is, because there's only 1 Nexus turret left and super minion spawning, can Cloud9 end this game sub 24 minutes?
They're looking for it right here. Only evidence because it's live, but in 10 seconds, NK Inc. and Viral will show back up. Here comes the minion line. Lemon Nation leading the charge on down this turret. 3 seconds until the revives. Balls runs on forward. Deals a
they spawn real
pain.
fast.
It's going down so incredibly fast. Balls lower and lower in health. Here comes the rest of the team. Can they do the damage they need? The Nexus is down below half health, and there's minions. They're trying to stop the Cloud9 squad. The knockout comes in from Chris. Sneaky's going to get chopped down. The Nexus down to about 300 health, but the counter engage is there. Velocity take 3 kills in this fight. Now can they turn it around?
There's that Tiamat coming into effect. The double kill from Jarvan as they were both standing next to each other going down for it. Man, Cloud9 was a couple seconds away from being 5-0, and maybe that call, that aggression was a little bit too much. They won a team fight so amazingly well because Velocity initiated out of sync, but now there's a window of giving Velocity back a Baron.
And of course, the game is so early on, the death timers are short. They can't go for the Baron. You said it's Baron, you're absolutely right, because Cloud9 are almost back alive.
And this is a pretty quick Baron attempt. High does have his death mark, but he's distracted by mid lane Biorose that's on a ward. I don't feel like High is going over for this one. This is a Baron Velocity has taken.
They're definitely going to have to do this one. Not quite the perfect smite, but NK Inc. still executes. Viorose spots High, though. Can he get the slows down? They don't want to engage in that one. Their health bar is a little bit low from the Baron attempt.
Everybody's got to take a deep breath now on Cloud9 because they have been going for some very quick end game plays this week and have yet to be burned by them. But this was kind of the first example of getting burned. Dignitas got burned earlier when they tried to all-in against Team Coast. And Cloud9 essentially made the same mistake there. It's a tough calculation knowing exactly how much damage you're going to do to a Nexus as a team is respawning and trying to kill you off. Cloud9 was in such control of that game too that they could have just taken a Baron off of that and then won later, but they wanted to end it fast because that's their style. We'll see if they can come back from this one because they essentially have to wait out the Baron now with Velocity.
Well, they're going to pick up some globals for themselves to try to keep this one in their favor. Though the kills are close, you're still seeing a pretty big gold lead for these Cloud9 folks. Almost 6,000 gold separates them. The Dragon just picked up there. Let's look at some really key playmakers. 9,000 gold on all 3 carries of Cloud9. That is a very, very large number.
Yeah, they're still powerful. They've been winning everything in this game except that one call to go for the Baron. Sorry, to go for the game that gave up the Baron. They do have the Muramana transform as well on Sneaky. They do have a Last Whisper finished on high, so he's penetrating almost everything. And they might actually fight even a team with Baron if they feel so bold to.
Of course, there's still a super minion wave in the top lane, and with no turrets to defend the Nexus, they've got to be very worried about that. The inhibitors are just now starting to respawn. These next 2 waves are really important for Velocity to hold.
Yeah, Velocity is in another one of these situations where they're going to sit back on their base and kind of just farm out the minions. It's crazy that we've had so many of these situations in this game where teams with downed inhibitors and downed Nexus turrets are still able to hold on for realistic chances of coming back in games, but that's exactly what we're seeing again here.
The second inhibitor has respawned as well. So the breather you mentioned really coming through here. The super minions are going to stop spawning on both sides. The last waves are coming through right now. The one you see in the top of your screen right there still contains a super minion for Cloud9, but that is the last of theirs here. And this will reset the game in the lanes a little bit. Balls is set on the side lane farm path. They've got good ward control of the bottom jungle as well, Cloud9. This might even be their next position of attack.
Yeah, they can catch out a lot of good stuff from Velocity in that bottom jungle because that's where they've been doing most of their work all game, and they just have a lot of confidence in that area. Velocity, though, trying to make a play up mid lane, knowing that from the previous base race, by the way, that happened, there is an exposed inhibitor, and Velocity has 90 seconds left on this Baron buff. So if Cloud9 wants to hold this, they will either have to poke or fight off Velocity as they go for this.
So Baron buff, the actual timer left exactly 1 minute here. There we go, inhibitor under siege. Chris takes some poke. They're getting themselves grouped up here. 5v5, the battle line's drawn. Damage up on a Vile Rose. The early shield pop by Chris. I don't know if he needed to right then. There's the Rise Burst. Chris, he's going to initiate on. There's a Tidal Wave. So much damage coming across. Levitation going to fall right over. No, actually, he's not. There we go, picking it up, but now the backline's taking pain. Vile Rose drop. High still lurking around the shadows. Maple Street survives the burst as well. 2 have fallen on one side, but Cloud9 are all still alive.
Nice!
That shock blast by Sneaky takes one down. That's going to make it 3 kills for nothing. Maple Street's not in a good place. He's trying to run away. Ball's going to take down Evaniscus. Maple Street getting chased as well. That is an ace almost picked up here for Cloud9. They've got the map on lock.
5-4-0 against a team with Baron. Did not even lose their inhibitor. The sniping and the kiting from Cloud9, specifically Sneaky, even high going in just to flash out, is what everybody came to see this game for. Now it's round 2 though. It's 5 or 7 seconds on Velocity spawn timers. Cloud9 is rushing through to get the inhibitor. I don't think they can end the game here, but they may try. They may try. They're not doing it again.
There's a huge minion wave there, and Chris says, huge minion wave. Good thing about Tiamat. And just crushes it out. Level 16 on him. All right, so we've got another inhibitor game afoot.
Yeah, and Cloud9 very clearly demonstrated that they still win the team fights here, even against a team with Baron making a push. Not the crispest of initiations by Chris, and that's exactly what Cloud9 decided to punish. Cloud9 has just an awesome team comp, honestly. The Meteos just kind of being the midline with Balls and then everyone else just dancing around is crazy. Balls getting chased down though.
He flashes for the stun, doesn't land it, but they do land the ults. Balls is so going to fall over for this one, and there's now a power play for Velocity. Again, the middle inhibitor is not protected by anything.
Yeah, that's not a great sign for Cloud9, specifically because Balls is one of the highest DPS sources for them, and Cloud9's fighting this maybe 4v5 as the tidal wave comes through.
Dive in, burn a lot of ults here, and Velocity's still looking to push on forward. Hook comes across on Valros. High is on the backhand side right here. 5v4 for 25 seconds. Chris up at the front door. Remember that super minions will be pushing down the left-hand side to make things rough for Velocity.
We can't forget how much damage Sneaky and High can dish out, and Velocity has not forgotten that. There's a couple people at half health on Velocity, now even less than half health as this poke comes through. Plus there's only 10 seconds left on balls, but High gets initiated onto.
Jumps in High, he's going to take a bunch of pain, but gets the lantern out. He will survive that one. The re-engage is there. Lemonation walking through his own box and surviving. No, Maple Street will turn that one back. Chris, no health right there. Balls is back alive as well. This is going to be a very, very close fight. Meteos and Sneaky putting out some pain. The bubble will miss, and now Velocity running away, trading a 1-for-1.
And High didn't even get spells off. He pretty much just ran away. Lemonation went in with the box. Still a 1-for-1. They held off yet another 4v5, and this is a great battle that Velocity is putting up against Cloud9.
Just clawing it together from a 7,000 gold deficit, and they're still making it look close as ult comes by, weakening some of these minions right here, but not doing nearly enough. Meteos and Co charging forward now through the acceleration gate. They look for the mid lane here.
And they're the ones that are a little bit healthier off of this. They're running through a couple mid lane wards as well on the way, so Velocity knows what's coming. Cloud9's thinking a little bit better of this one, recognizing that they've had this game in hand for a while. It's just a matter of playing it smart, and I think that's what they're going to do right now.
Well, smartly, they're taking away the jungle camps right now. High, soloing away the lizard buff, and doing a pretty good job of that one. We just saw Balls' Rise on the left-hand side of the screen take away some of the wolves. So a lot of jungles being sucked away from the map, and they know in the next 10 to 20 seconds, both Dragon and Baron are respawning.
And the Baron is the big buff for these guys. High's making sure to keep that bottom lane shoved out as much as possible because he doesn't want to have to make another trip down there for quite a while. The nice thing actually about Maple Street having Ezreal is Ezreal can keep that shoved if we have a poke fest in mid lane. But based on the quick initiations that we've seen throughout this game, I expect the fight to come fairly swiftly. Chris is having no qualms about diving in. What Velocity really needs to do is get a Jarvan ulti with the Cataclysm, because their initiations have yet to be able to really pull that off. Unless they're just ganking balls, they have to land that combo on multiple people.
And so they're going to look for the area of effect team right here. No oracles means they're just sitting in a sea
man.
of wards. The tidal wave comes across and hits nothing right here. Cloud9 might just go in on this one. A bit of damage across. Meteos stunned up. There comes Chris in the mix, and he's going to dive right on in. Equalizer comes across. So much AoE, but Chris just gets melted there. High's going to survive. They've gotten nothing here, but Maple Street's going to get caught out. Double kill. 3 kills picked up so far. Now NK Inc is the focus. He's going to drop. He tries to get High, and he cannot do it. 5v1, this could be Cloud9's game.
GG's called. It's a matter of Cloud9 running through the base at this point. Can they end the game this time? There's no turrets to defend it. Evaniska says he's got this.
I got this 1v5, but they got super minions there as well. Might just be too much for Nami to take down, and under the sea she goes. Great job, Cloud9 taking it 5-0 in Super Week.
5-0 for a team that is completely new to the LCS. You know, you got to earn it.